everybody, this is Steve Lasky. I'm the Editorial Director for the Endeavor Security Media Group, and we're here on the floor at ISC West 2026, and I am here at the IQSIGHT booth with Matt Cirnigliaro. Matthew is the Head of Product Marketing here at IQSIGHT, and if you're not familiar with the name, you can be excused because this is a rebranding. And I go back a long way with Bosch, so it's interesting to see that you guys are going through a marketing transformation and going from the Bosch Video Systems name. Talk to us a little bit about the strategy behind that, the rebranding, and how you're positioning yourself in the video market.
Yeah, we're in a really unique position, I think, because it's not very often in any industry, particularly in the security industry, that you get to sort of start a brand from scratch.
Sure.
And make it mean whatever you need it or want it to mean. That said, we do get the benefit of this Bosch DNA and Bosch pedigree, and the products will continue to be branded as Bosch for a little bit longer before we complete the transition. I think the best analogy I've come up with so far is it's kind of like when you first moved out of your parents' house. And on one hand, it's scary and you got to pay your own bills and all of these things, these unknowns. But on the flip side, your dad always had a few rules that you just didn't like, and it was nice to be out on your own.
Yep.
So if we do this well, and I think we will be able to take that Bosch pedigree and leverage it and improve upon it as IQSIGHT.
Very good. You know, you got systems integrators, a lot of dedicated systems integrators with the brand, and you see them now deploying in increasing amounts intelligent video across all kind of vertical markets, critical infrastructure, campuses, large entertainment venues. So where do they face the biggest deployment integration challenges, and how is IQSIGHT going to help them simplify and make that process a little easier?
That's a fantastic question. I think what we see in the market is the product capability, and unfortunately along with capability always comes some complexity,
Sure.
has been on this upward trajectory. For the most part, the technical capability in the field remains relatively flat, and so it gets difficult to successfully deploy really cutting-edge technology.
Right.
Given that, one of the things that we would really like to change in the Bosch to IQSIGHT transition is maintaining the product capability, but just making it easier to deploy. One of the knocks, for lack of a better term, against Bosch was that it was highly capable, but you had to be very savvy in order to work through it. So we're working really hard to streamline our user interfaces, in general our deployment processes, so that customers can avail themselves of the latest technology in a way that's deployable and scalable.
Right.
So
scalable being the big word now.
Scalable is the operative word. Yeah, it's one thing if you can get one camera to do what you want, but when you've got thousands, it's really important that scalability be there.
You know, so on the flip side, you know, we're kind of want to hit the end users, you know, and how they're going to view the change and how this is going to impact them. End users now are looking to take intelligence from the cameras, from the video, and make it actionable for business organizations for you know, mitigating risk in their enterprises. When you're looking at evaluating AI-enabled video surveillance, what are organizations looking for? What should they be focusing on? And what are the real operational values they need to be able to put into their strategies, and how are you guys going to help them with that?
Yeah, I think the operative word in that question is actionable.
Right.
So there are all these compromises that we've sort of tolerated in video for so long that we don't even view them as compromises anymore. For example, we would like somebody to be able to watch our facility, but we can't, so we put up a camera.
Sure.
We would like somebody to be able to watch that camera, but we can't, so we record it so we can go back to it later. But really, we got to remember what the original mission was. We want to be able to watch it and do something about it when something occurs. So the fundamental shift that we're trying to push with the AI story is to move away from this forensic retroactive approach and instead be able to intervene, to take action, like I said, actionable, in real time. So it's one thing to be able to have pictures of the car break-in to send to the insurance company. It's another thing entirely to be able to deploy deterrence measures or intervene with a live guard or even robotic guards to prevent that from happening in the first place. And the latest generation of generative AI is really enabling that real-time response, so we get far less dependent on forensic retroactive stuff.
So let's talk a little bit about that. You know, we look at video surveillance today. It's definitely evolved from just simple monitoring. You've got companies out here that have moved their intelligence to the camera, AI-based camera intelligence that's providing their monitoring solutions. Like you said, actionable intelligence that enable the human behind the camera, behind the monitor, to be able to react correctly. So when you're looking at what you guys are doing right now and the changing role of video systems in operational maintenance and business intelligence at an organization, how is that changing? And again, what is IQSIGHT bringing to the table in that realm?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of some of the traditional security use cases, I'll use an example of an escalating loitering alarm. So I worked on a project a couple of years ago where somebody was loitering in this parking lot for more than a minute after hours. That would create a talk down pre-recorded message to let them know, hey, we're closed, go ahead and leave. If that person was still there 30 seconds later, we would turn on a spotlight, have a little bit more aggressive message. They're still there 30 seconds after that. Authorities have been notified, the spotlight comes back, and that's what goes to monitoring. That's when a human was in the loop. I think what's interesting about that progression is not only does it dramatically reduce the number of alerts that go to the operator, because most people bug out after the first warning or at least the second. So those alerts never even get to a monitoring center or a person. What's also interesting about that is by the time it does get to that person, they understand that this threat is persistent. They've been warned twice and they're still there. So not only do we limit the number of alarms that are going, but we also ensure that the alarms that are going to a human are true threats, things that need to be identified. That process in general, we find that we can put more filter layers between the technology and the human in the loop so that they don't get alarm fatigue. And that's a big part of it. There's always a point in the process where you want to have a human in the loop. You want them to be able to direct certain assets in order to respond. Challenge with that is all of the false positives. So that's what we can dramatically reduce. The other thing I would say to that is we're also enabling a bunch of use cases that are far beyond security. Operational stuff, safety stuff, and that expands the scope and really value of cameras that end users deploy.
Cool. And obviously that's going to be the capabilities that you guys are going to be talking about when you have clients and integrators come up to the booth. What would be the one message when you talk to these folks that come into the IQSIGHT booth at show? What do you want them leaving with? What's the message?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the biggest thing that we would like to achieve here at this show, as they say, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. A lot of folks are meeting IQSIGHT for the first time. We didn't just pick that name out of a hat. We want to be known as the home of visual intelligence. Not only intelligent product, intelligent technology, but also intelligent consultative things, our design expertise. So when you're working with IQSIGHT, you're not only getting intelligent technology, but you're getting that intelligent support behind it with, I've got a whole team of folks that understand how to deploy this technology, how to make it scalable, and it comes down to being able to take things that maybe look cool in a demo or in a trade show floor like this, bringing them to life in the wild, and all of those challenges that come up. And so ultimately what we want people to understand is we're the smart choice, and that's where the IQ and IQSIGHT comes from.
Well, I'll give you credit for this. There have been some horrible rebranding names that have come out of the security industry over the last decade. IQSIGHT's brilliant. I think it's a really good move. I think the brand's going to play well, and we wish you a lot of luck. So, Matt Cirnigliaro, I appreciate you talking with us today. I encourage everybody to come by and see the IQSIGHT booth, and formerly known as, the artist formerly known as Bosch. So take care, and again, thanks for the time.
Steve, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.